Punishment for disobedience. The list of punishments for willful disobedience and rebellion is much longer than the list of blessings for obedience. Rejecting his law, verses 14 to 17. The stubborn humans did not have ear for God's punishment. We could see that God's punishment is progressive. The more his people disobey and are hostile to him, the worse his judgment becomes. His goal is always to encourage his people to repent and turn to him. His punishment begins with sending terror from enemies and disease, which he describes as setting his face against them. It helps us to understand what God means when he says, "I will say to my face against you." In these days, how do we realize that the Lord is punishing us as fellowship or as a family or even as individuals because of our disobedience? As Jesus said, we need to love God wholeheartedly and love our neighbors as we love ourselves. Disobeying his word, verses 18 to 22. If the people continue to disobey, God will increase the intensity of his judgment, 7 times, verses 18, 21, 24, in an attempt to break their stubborn pride with severe drought, followed by destruction of their animals and children. The old saying, "To hear is to obey," is especially not applicable to the Israelites. Here hearing, is contrasted with despising, abhorring, disobeying, which amount to breaking the covenant. Amos 3, 1-3. Being hostile towards God, verses 23 to 26. If they continue in their disobedience, the Lord will send enemies to trap them in their cities, where they will suffer from plague and famine. Pestilence, famine, wild beasts, and the sword were the 4 kinds of punishments. Later, prophets like Jeremiah 15:3 and Ezekiel 14:12 were highlighting that. We are warned. Gracious Lord, forgive us for displeasing you. Give us your grace to love you, trust you, and wear your comments constantly.